Hello, this is SJ Talks from Life coming back at you with another video. I have on another YouTuber's channel, covered under fair use. I don't know if you've heard Reese, Teesa, I think her name is the YTF Did I Marry, parts 1 through 30. I'm just going to play you a clip. I just want to put my little 2 cents in about it. And I'm just going to play you a little clip. I mean, this thing goes to like 60 parts. And I have seen some of the parts, but I got to be honest, I haven't seen all the parts in its entirely. But I'm going to play a little bit of it for you here. On this one, she has parts 1 through 30. I'm going to play some of it because I want to put my little 2 cents in, just to give you give you an idea of what she's talking about, just in case you haven't got a chance to see it.
4th of 2020. We met on Facebook dating site, and we also matched on Hinge. I did not realize that he was on both under 2 different names. So one was his actual name, and the other one was a variation, like a nickname that he called himself. Different pictures. So it was a running joke between us. Oh, you ain't even recognize that you had matched with me on Hinge. No, I didn't. And also that should have been a red flag. By the way, you will notice in this story, I called it the United Nations of red flags. It is so many red flags that, I mean, you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of them.
Teesa.
Anyway, back to the story. We met around March 4th. We exchanged phone numbers. He called me and we talked on the phone for the first time. In the first phone call, he told me that he had just moved to Georgia from California, from San Diego. His job had transferred him because he was being transferred in as the new regional manager for a major condiment company that is based here in Georgia. I'm not going to say the name. And so we also talked about his childhood. He told me he grew up in Philly. He's from Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. This is the first phone call. Both of his parents were deceased. His father was a Philadelphia police officer. His mom was a teacher. He also told me he briefly lived in Augusta with his family. He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He also had 2 half-brothers on his dad's side. First phone call. So I'm just giving you guys the backstory. This was the first phone call we had. So we talked about family. We talked about friends. We talked about our jobs. At the time, I was working at Georgia State Patrol. And he knew this, and he just thought that was like, wow, you know, so you work with troopers all day. Yes, I did. Also in that phone call, he explained to me that he used to play football. He explained that he used to play arena football. I know nothing about arena football. I know about NFL. I know about college. Go Dogs. But I don't know anything about arena football. So he explained to me that he used to play arena football. He used to work at Apple in the off season of arena football.
I love that background.
And I remember thinking on that phone call,
what city that is.
Oh, okay, you know, like, good for you. I don't know anything about arena football, and I believe I did tell him that I don't know anything about arena football. That'll come into play later on. So he told me, you know, I just moved here. My job is paying for my housing, and they're helping me to look for a house. He was like, right now I'm in Gwinnett County, but I'm trying to look for a house, ideally in Atlanta, like Brookhaven, Sandy Springs. He was like, I really would like to move out there. And so I thought, you know, that's great. You know, you're looking to get a house. You just moved here. He was like, I don't really know too many people here because I spend all my time at work, and, you know, this job is really demanding. So that was our first phone call. We talked more. He talked a lot, which took me by surprise because I'm not really used to men talking more than me. He eventually asked me out on a date. Our first date was set for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. He asked me what was my favorite restaurant. I said Cheesecake Factory. And so we agreed to go out at the Cheesecake Factory in a location that was in between. I lived in
nothing wrong with that.
At the time. He lived in Gwinnett County. I realized that if you don't know anything about Metro Atlanta, that makes no sense. But basically, we lived about 45 minutes apart. So we agreed to meet at the Cheesecake Factory over at Perimeter Mall, which is in an area, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area. I was excited. Like, I called my friends and was like, I got a date, you know, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how it goes. First conversation was good. Hopefully he looks like his pictures, because, you know, that's always an issue with online dating. Hopefully he looks like his pictures. So on my way to our date, I took 285, and literally right before I got to Boulder Crest, the exit for Boulder Crest, I heard a boom, and I lost control of my car. Thank God that well, not thank God, but I knew what to do. So I did not crash, but my tire blew out. So I called him, and I said, hey, I'm so sorry, but my tire just blew on 285. I'm slowly making my way off the exit. I believe I pulled into a Chevron gas station, and I said, you know, I got to get this fixed. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a damsel in distress kind of thing. He kind of paused. He got quiet, and he was like, you know, tell me exactly where you are. Drop your pin. So I dropped the pin, and he came to the gas station. Came to the gas station, got out the car, and I was so relieved that he actually looked like his pictures that I was like, oh my God, he's actually attractive, because he's like 6'4", 6'5". Oh, also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife, she had 2 children, a boy and a girl, who were teenagers, young adults. I think the girl was about 20, and he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids, but that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, you know, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' lives. I have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation was, we talked about family, job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, you know, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back to the tile. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world. And then he proceeds to say, hey, I found a tire place around the corner. You need to get another tire. Like, you can't drive on this donut. So he followed me to the tire place, and then helped me get a tire, paid for it. So I was definitely like, wow.
That's how you pulled her in.
And so the vibe was good.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I get the tire fixed. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just...
You knew we had a...
Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies. So I had butterflies. And we go in. There's a long wait. And so we sit outside and we just talk. And the conversation's great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, you know, I believe at the time he was 42. like, I want to get married and it'd be for real. He's like, my parents were married 40 plus years before my mom passed away. And I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like, that is what I want. He's like, I'm as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real, because the first time, it really hurt me when she cheated on me. So he's telling me everything that I wanted to hear. And so he was like, what is it that you want? And I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, I'm ready to get married. Definitely want to have a family. And I want to marry my best friend. Mm-hmm. So we both put on the table that we wanted marriage. Mm-hmm. And this is the end of part 1. All right. Who the fuck did I marry? Part 2. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people, which is kind of up my alley, my sense of humor. It was a good vibe. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the date, at the end of dinner, we sat in his car and he played this song for me by John Legend. I don't know the name of the song. By the time this video posts, I will put the name at the bottom. I can't remember the song. I just remember that John Legend was talking about, I think I met my wife tonight. Uh-huh. And I thought it was a song.
That's how you pulled it in.
Oh my God. So anyway, we ended up sitting in the car talking just about life and experiences until about midnight. Mm-hmm. So during this conversation, he again is telling me how it was, what it was like living in California, how he went out there. He went to San Diego State. He played football for San Diego State. He talked about how, life, he loved it out there, so he stayed. That's when he joined the company. And then he explained that he also did arena football, but only did it for about 2 or 3 years. He claims that while he was doing arena football, the team that he was on won. Okay, I'm going to pause and I'll be back. My life, I hate moving. But I did not start packing up that house at all. I was just like, I'm pregnant. My body was changing so fast that it was like I could barely keep my eyes open half the day. And so, no, I didn't start packing. And I remember I did record, again, I was recording audio diaries just about every day. When something didn't sit right, I would verbally record it in the audio diary because I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. That was the theme of our relationship. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something.
Interesting.
And so I remember talking to myself in my little prayer closet, because that's where I would do my recordings. And I remember thinking, what if we don't get this house? Like, what if he's lying? But again, there goes that thought process of, why would he lie about this? Like, who makes up that they're buying a house when in fact they're not? And then he's showing you all this paperwork. Like, come on, you can't be...
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Because again, this is a really, really long series. I think she's got like 60 parts to this thing. So, a lot of YouTubers are playing this. A lot of YouTubers are playing this. This is a lot of YouTubers are playing this, and so, and they're playing a lot of this. I think some of them are playing it in its entirety. I haven't seen all 60 parts, but to just to sum it up, basically, I'm gonna try to sum it up for you guys. I played a little bit of it there. This man basically lied to her throughout the whole entire marriage. Throughout the whole entire relationship and marriage, this man lied to her. And in this part, she's starting to sense, her instincts is starting to tell, and that's nothing but God starting to tell her that something is wrong. She's starting to feel it in her spirit that something is not right. She said she went in her prayer closet. So, okay, she's starting to pick up in her spirit. God is kind of putting things in her spirit and letting her know that something is not right about the situation. But you know how you're not sure, you get a feeling something is wrong, but you can't exactly put your finger on it. I've had situations to where something's not right, but I just can't exactly put my finger on it, or, you don't know exactly, and so that's how she's feeling here. She's, and she's, she's feeling, she said she felt, something wasn't right, but, because she had feelings for him, she just kept going with it. And, but this guy basically lied to her throughout the whole entire marriage, relationship and marriage. And let me know in the comment section if you've seen all 60 parts. I'm going to try to take the time. I've had a lot going on over the past few weeks, so but I still have been watching YouTube. But like I said, I already seen this part. I think I did watch the first few parts, but I'm going to go ahead and try to watch the whole thing in its entirety. But I'm just going to give my quick opinion on this situation here. Just wanted you guys to get the gist. Let me know in the comment section if you see all 60 parts and what are your thoughts on it. I just think that, sometimes when you meet a guy, I'm going to go back to when she first met him, and they were saying she said they both put on the table that they both wanted marriage and stuff. And sometimes what men will do is that, sometimes you have to give information to get information. Sometimes you have to give out some information to get information from somebody. If you want to know something, sometimes people will give out information. Jedi mind trick. You give out information in order to draw some information from you. And I think that's what he did in that situation. Is like, because most guys think women, particularly if a woman is at a particular age, they figure that, especially if you're dating online, they figure, that you probably want to get married. So he probably figured that she probably wanted to get married. And, when that's her tire situation, he paid for it and everything. So he seen that she was already impressed by that. So he said, okay, I got her. I done impressed her, made a good impression on her and everything. So that was the start right there. So he figured he'd go on and put that out there. And sometimes men will do that. They will say, okay, they'll put that out there and say, yeah, I want to get married. And then, then you say you want to get married, you tell them everything that you want. And so sometimes it's not good for women to just, like I said in another video, women sometimes talk too much when they're first meeting a man. Sometimes it's not good to, sometimes it's not good to tell them you want to get married. I mean, when you initially meeting them, because they'll take that and men are chameleons. They are chameleons. They'll try to, not all of them, the manipulative ones, they're chameleons. They'll try to turn into, if you go to giving them too much information about what you want and all this stuff, they'll turn into a chameleon and they'll try to become the very thing that you want. And so this guy, he did marry her, but she said he lied throughout the whole entire marriage, literally lied about the house situation. She had a miscarriage. She was pregnant, got pregnant, had a miscarriage. He didn't come to the hospital. It was, I'm going to watch all of it in its entirety. But it's really, women have to, first of all, online dating, you have to be really, really careful. I did the online dating thing before. I did a whole video talking about it. It's in my archives. I don't know where it's at. I got like 1,500 videos, I think 1,700 videos on here. It's way back in my archives where I talked about that I did, shortly after my youngest son was born, I did some online dating. And sometimes I can just listen to their phone conversation, just simply listening to them on the phone. And I said, this man don't sound like, I was very discerning. I was very discerning. And then with my situation, I just got really, really discouraged, because in my mind at the time, it was shortly after I found I had my youngest son. And I was like, in my mind, I wanted to find a husband. I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to find a husband, and I wanted to find a father for my two sons, a father figure for my oldest, and a father for my youngest son, because his father was, he wasn't going to be in the picture. So I was out there, looking, I put my online profile, and at that particular time it was shoot, I can't remember that one site. I can't remember. MySpace. It was MySpace, and this was the year 2000. We're talking about the year 2000. So it was MySpace and Black Planet, MySpace, and another one that I think I had my profile on. And it's just some of the guys I was meeting, I could tell by their phone conversation, they wasn't sounding right over the phone. And some African guy I met, I was talking to him on the phone, and he claims that he worked for Upjohn, and he said he lived in New York and he was moving to Michigan, and he wanted me to meet him. He wanted me to meet him without no drawers on, and come to the date with no drawers on. And at that time, I had already decided that I was going to be abstaining. I was in the beginning of my abstinence journey at that point. And I told him, I said, no, and I wasn't going to give him nothing anyway. And I told him, I said that was a red flag. I said, no, I'm not finna come on no date with you and not have no drawers on. And then he talking about, well, we got to be able to connect on all levels. I said, well, you're not connecting on that level because I'm not giving you anything. And I said, I don't have sex before marriage. And I told him straight on out. I've been leery of African men ever since. And then, he was talking about, well, come on to New York and everything. And I was like, I would love to go to New York. It's only one problem. I don't know you. And so I was I have to pat myself on the back because I was very, very discerning. And it's some other stories that I can share on here too about my online dating situation. I'll get into that at another time. But anyway, anywho, back to her. When you're meeting guys online, you have to really, really, really be careful. I was talking to Tony. I wasn't talking to him. I was looking at Tony Gaskins, and he did some videos talking about women should never go online to find a mate. And if you get a chance, check him out. He gives the reasons why, and he's making some valid points on there, because men, I'm telling you, men are very deceptive on those online dating sites. I got to the point to where I just completely got discouraged and just quit doing it altogether. And so you have to be careful anyway. It doesn't matter, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you meet them. You have to be careful regardless. But those suckers are really crafty, the ones online. And some of them are just downright dangerous. So women have to be careful. So that was the number one problem. She met the man online, and she rushed into it too fast. She rushed into that situation too fast. They rushed into the relationship. They rushed into the marriage. She rushed into it way too fast. You should know somebody at least 1 year before you marry them. Y'all should be courting for at least 1 year before you decide to marry. That is a red flag. The fact that he wanted to jump up and rush into a marriage situation, and it was too fast. It was just too fast. I mean, it was just too fast. It was just too fast. It was just too fast. And so, take your time. And he knew she was at a particular age, and so he knew that he would be able to pull her on in. And I don't know what's wrong with this man. Why he felt the need to tell all these lies. It must be something psychological going on with him. pathological. They call that he's a pathological liar. And so, but here it's saying it looked like she sensed something was wrong, something when her spirit wasn't right, but she couldn't put her finger on it. But she moved way too fast. Ladies, especially ladies that want to get married, take your time. Take your time, because if you get into the situation with the man, it's so hard to get a divorce. It's easier to get married than it is to get a divorce. And, you know, and a man misrepresents himself, and you get into a marriage situation, and that fool winds up being abusive or a pathological liar like this guy, then you got some serious problems. And she moved too fast. She moved too fast. And sometimes as women, we can want things so bad to the point to where you start making the wrong choices, start making the wrong decisions and everything like that. In my video where I talked about, and there's some other YouTubers talking about that too, where I talked about decentering men. You know, that's why it's important to decenter men, because when you decenter men, you're going to make better choices. You know, you will make better choices when you decenter men. So it's important to decenter men, even if you want to. It's not always about, oh, I don't want a man or whatever. Even if you desire a husband, it's good to decenter men, because you will make better choices. And she said she went in her prayer closet and prayed and stuff. Okay, well, she should have prayed about this situation before she even got into it. She should have prayed about it before she even married this guy. And take the time and be open to what God shows you. Because if God shows you and you don't listen and you ignore it, then, you know, you can't blame God, because you can't say, well, Lord, no. Because if God show you and then you ignore the sign and you go and proceed on anyway, then whose fault is it? You know? So when you pray about stuff, you got to be open to, spiritually and mentally open to receive the answer that God showed you, to receive what God shows you. You got to be willing to open up your eyes and see what God shows you. And if he shows you something about this person, you pray about it, and he shows you, okay, well, you need to listen and you need to pay attention. But, you know, women get caught up in their feelings. They get swept up in their emotions and something like that. And they're wanting, and then between that and wanting to get married really bad, you know, and these snakes like him can pick up on that. These men are crafty. They can pick up on that. They know that you want to get married. They can pick up on that. They'll pull out every trick out the bag. And this is what this guy did. He pulled out every trick in the bag. And he lied to her. I really, you know, really sad. I feel bad for this sister that she had to endure all this. But it's a learning lesson. You know, it's a learning lesson. It's a learning experience. It's something that she can learn from. But just ladies, especially when you're online dating, I wouldn't recommend online dating. But if you're going to do it, be very discerning. Be very discerning. Be careful. At the end of the day, no matter where you meet the man at, be very discerning. Learn to decenter men so you can make better choices. Pray about it. Pray and ask God to show you, you know, if you meet somebody. There's nothing wrong with going out there dating and stuff like that, because that's how you get to know people. But ask God to show you. Ask God to show you, you know, if this man is for the right things, and he will show you. And when you pray and ask God to show you, you got to be willing to open up your eyes and your heart to receive what he's showing you about. He will show you, but you got to be willing to open up and receive. Don't get so caught up in your feelings that you ignore the red flags. You're ignoring what God is showing you. Because she's saying here that she did pray about it and stuff. Okay, so God was steady showing her, but she was steady ignoring it. She was steady ignoring it and still moving on and proceeding with the situation. But of course, by that time, she had already married the guy. She was emotionally invested and legally invested in the guy. So by the time she found out that he was a pathological liar, that she knew for sure, she was already, you know, real in the thick of this thing. So, I mean, it's really, you know, really feel bad that this happened with this sister. And I'm going to probably watch the whole thing. I got to admit, I didn't watch the whole thing in its entirety. But just putting our little 2 cents in, giving you a gist of what. But let me know in the comment section if you've seen the whole thing, men and women, ladies and gentlemen, and what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts? If you've seen the whole thing in its entirety, what are your thoughts on this? Boy, he pulled a fast one on her. But ladies, be careful. Ladies out here dating, be careful. Learn to decenter men so you can make better choices. Okay, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and share. And until the next video, be blessed.